Dear all, welcome. This is Dr. R. Amiruddin, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, B.S. Abdul Rahman Crescent Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. So today we are going to discuss about the second part of the lecture based on optical detectors, which will be useful for PHCX09 Semiconductor Physics and Optoelectronics. So this will be the outline of the presentation. The first part of the module based on optical detectors has been discussed in first part of the lecture, and today we are going to discuss the second part, which is based on solar cells, the materials and designs and its types. So a gentle reminder, if you have not watched the part 1 of the lecture, you are kindly requested to visit the first part of the lecture, which is available online. So let us start discussing about these solar cells. And now we have seen different semiconductor materials based on gallium arsenide, gallium nitride, zinc oxide, and each has its own band gap. And now in today's lecture we are going to discuss about silicon, which has a band gap of 1.1 electron volt, and how this material will be used towards fabrication of solar cells. So this picture we have seen in detail in part 1 of the lecture. We have seen the relation between the energy and wavelength. And now if we consider silicon, which has a band gap of 1.1 electron volt, and if we fabricate a PN junction using silicon, the band gap of 1.1 lies near to infrared region. So this silicon based PN junction has a tendency to absorb all the incident light which lies in the visible range of the spectrum, such that 400 to 700 nanometer, and it will not absorb any light which has energy less than the band gap of 1.1 electron volt. So using this concept, we are going to discuss how silicon based solar cell can be realized towards commercial application. So let us start discussing about the PN junction using silicon, which has a band gap of 1.1 electron volt. A PN junction of silicon is displayed over here. We have P-type silicon and we have N-type silicon. This device will be deposited with an anti-reflection coating upon the top of N-type silicon, and we have top and bottom electrodes. So since silicon has a band gap of 1.1 electron volt, the device has a tendency to absorb all the incident visible light from the electromagnetic spectrum, because the energy of the light is higher than the band gap of silicon, that is 1.1 electron volt. So this PN junction using silicon absorbs all the visible radiation from the sunlight. During this process, when the light is illuminated upon the PN junction of silicon, it generates electron and hole pairs inside the depletion region formed between the P-type and N-type silicon. And this photo-generated carriers will be collected as an output to generate photocurrent, which will be applicable towards electricity. So we have seen many silicon based solar cell panels which is placed upon the rooftop. So all these solar panels based on the mechanism what we have discussed now. So such panels has many number of solar cells, and it has P-type and N-type semiconductors using silicon, and when the sunlight is illuminated upon these solar cells, it generates electron and hole pairs, and this electron and hole pairs will be collected as an output towards the load, and that creates the electric current. So the principle of silicon solar cells or any solar cell is the photovoltaics. It's an electrical device that converts the light energy into electricity. Individual solar cell device can be combined to form solar panels, and in basic terms, a single junction solar cells can produce a maximum open circuit voltage of 0.5 to 0.6 voltage. And solar cells are described as being photovoltaic, which means the device works under zero biased condition, whether it can be either from sunlight or any kind of artificial light. So silicon based p-n junction, a schematic diagram is displayed over here. It consists of a n-type silicon which is formed by doping group 5 elements in silicon, and it has a p-type silicon which are formed by doping group 3 elements such as boron, and we have an anti-reflection coating which is deposited upon the n-type layers. And now let us visualize the same schematic diagram in another form. So the sunlight, the n-type layers and the p-type layers is been displayed over here in another form. So we have sunlight, we have n-type silicon and we have p-type silicon, and in between we have a depletion region which are formed between the n-type and p-type layers. So let us understand what is happening inside this silicon based solar cells and how this basic mechanism contributes towards the photocurrent. So when visible light of the wavelength 400 to 700 nanometer is illuminated upon the silicon based solar cells, with the condition energy of the incident light should be higher than the band gap of the silicon. So this light enters the n-type and p-type, and let us see what happens. So when visible light enters the n-type silicon, it generates electron and hole pairs, but however this n-type layers does not has any potential difference. Therefore the generated electron and hole pairs will tend to recombine immediately, and this photo carriers will not contribute to external load. And now when the same light from the sun, when it enters the depletion region, because here we have inbuilt potential difference due to which the electron hole pairs are formed and it will be swept apart from the depletion region. So the electrons will be collected towards the output terminal, and also the holes will also be collected towards the output terminal. Thereby the photocarriers which are generated inside this depletion region contributes towards the external load, and hence it enhances the photocurrent of the p-n junctions. Similar way, when the visible light enters the p-type layers, it does not contribute to external photocurrent since there is no potential difference inside this p-type layers. So like how we discussed in photodetectors in part 1 lecture, here also the depletion region plays a crucial role which contributes towards the formation of photocurrent from the p-n junction. So here the important factor here is the photocarriers are generated only due to which incident visible light from the sun. So let us analyze the output characteristics of the silicon, and to understand the output characteristics we need to study the voltage versus current characteristics of the silicon based diodes. So the solar cells is again a p-n junction, so it has a rectifying characteristics of voltage versus current graph, and it will displace over here. So this is also a p-n junction which allows the flow of current only in forward bias and restricts the flow of current under reverse bias condition. And now when this p-n junction is subjected towards the external visible light or the sunlight, it generates photocarriers and automatically it enhances the photocurrent. Thereby, this is termed as the photocurrent which are generated because of incident light. So the brown line refers to the voltage versus current characteristics which are measured for silicon solar cells under dark condition, and the blue dotted lines refers to the voltage versus current characteristics of silicon based solar cells which are measured under illumination of visible light. So we can see here the current value in negative y-axis increases significantly in compared with the dark current, and also even at 0 volt the solar cells has some kind of negative value in the negative y-axis. So this point is called as short circuit current at 0 volt, and this point is called refers to open circuit voltage at 0 volt, and the area corresponds to here refers to the fill factor. Now the efficiency of solar cells can be calculated based upon these factors, and the product of open circuit voltage, short circuit current and fill factor area divided by the input power of the visible light. It can be the power of sun or it can be power of any visible light. So based upon this characteristics, voltage versus current measured under dark and under light, we can able to find what is the efficiency of the solar cells and how efficiently it converts the incident light into electricity under the mode called photovoltaic mode. So the silicon based solar cells, or in generally the solar cells, works under photovoltaic mode because here we can see under light, even at 0 volt, the solar cell contributes to external photocurrent. So the device which works under 0 volt is referred to photovoltaic device. So let us analyze about different generation of solar cells. The first generation is what made up of silicon, and again the first generation solar cells has many classifications such as monocrystalline solar cells or monocrystalline silicon solar cells, which this is the oldest technology and still much popular among the solar cell fabrication. And this device has the efficiency of 24.2%, which means 24.2% of the visible light which is incident upon the device will be converted into a form of electricity. So now the next type is polycrystalline silicon solar cells, which uses silicon in the form of polycrystalline, and this device has the efficiency of 19.3%. And the third one is a non-crystalline form of silicon, which is amorphous silicon solar cells, which has the efficiency of 10%. The second generation solar cells includes non-silicon materials such as cadmium telluride and copper indium gallium diselenide. So cadmium telluride has the band gap of 1.5 electron volt and copper indium gallium diselenide alloy has the band gap of 1.0 to 1.7 electron volt. So more or less this band gap lies near to the silicon. So this technology based on second generation solar cells aims towards the fabrication of solar cells which are alternative to commercially available silicon based solar cells. The third generation solar cell is again an alternative to the silicon based solar cells and also a non-silicon based solar cells which uses semiconductors such as copper zinc tin sulfide, which is CZTS, dye-sensitized solar cells, organic solar cells, perovskite solar cells and also quantum dot solar cells. So to summarize, the solar cells we have first generation, which is the monocrystalline, polycrystalline and amorphous type silicon solar cells. The second generation is the thin films using cadmium telluride and copper indium gallium diselenide based solar cells. And third generation includes copper zinc tin sulfide, which is CZTS dye-sensitized solar cells, organic solar cells and perovskite solar cells. And application is very wide. We have application of solar cells in any rooftop, which converts the incident light into electricity, and we have off-grid power, and even now we have application of solar cells in satellite communications. So thank you everyone for your kind attention. Have a nice day.